Is a frightening prospect. That was the message delivered by Women's Minister Susan Shabangu during the Commission on the Status of Women currently underway in New York. The Commission is focused on the economic empowerment of women in the changing workplace, and South Africa has drawn particular attention to the urgent need to reskill women in the informal economy so as to prevent their continued exclusion from the increasingly high-tech and advanced workplace. Correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease caught up with the minister and began by asking her about the process currently underway at the United Nations.
It's critical for us, especially in South Africa, because the theme directly relates to us. But it also talks to the global changes, where we're looking at the world and everybody now talks about the fourth industrial revolution. And what is that all about? It's about the world which is changing towards technology, a world which is informed by innovation. And as we deal with these are the issues. If we are not going to make women to be at the center of that particular fourth industrial revolution, women are going to be left out. And for us as South Africa, what is key, it's to make sure that women participate and not just consumers or are not an afterthought in that process.
Minister, let's look at a specific area as it relates to the amendments you made in terms of the Employment Equity Act. One of the big focus areas here is closing the gender pay gap, right? The fact that women earn 77 cents on every dollar that a man earns. How far does the amendments that you've made in terms of the Labour Relations Act, the Employment Equity Act, go to addressing the fact that women should earn what men do?
I must say South Africa has come a long way. And the advantage is that these issues, we've engaged with them forever as South Africa, even before 1994. So we've been emphasizing the issue of closing the gap. Government has done that where we are. In the public service, there's no man, there's no woman. The women and men earn the same salaries. If you're a DG, you earn the same salary. But also it does not end up there. We also have to look at various sectors in South Africa. A petrol attendant in South Africa, whether a man or a woman, they earn the same salaries. So the gender gap, we are in the right direction of South Africa. But what is very, very important, it's also to recognize that there are other sectors which are not there. The critical aspect is that women in senior positions, there tend to be a gap there because they're not earning the same as men. So we've got to close that gap.
Minister, you also made reference to the 42%, I think it is, of women representation in cabinet. I think it's a similar number for parliament, 42% of women parliamentarians. You say we're on track to reach 50% by 2030. Why have you given yourself so much time?
I'm giving myself not so much time. It's just that 2030, that's the target. I believe and I'm confident that South Africa will have exceeded that. It's as we are at 42%, we're left with 8%. But also in Parliament, if you look at Parliament, if the opposition can come on board, that will make a major difference for South Africa.
Minister, a final question for you. I mean, you mentioned the informal economy. This is where most women find themselves. I think you've seen in some countries 80% of women find themselves in the informal economy. This is the real challenge to women's ministries around the world, is really restructuring, formalizing this informal economy so that there are safety nets for those women that find themselves at the bottom of the economic pyramid. How far are we away from that in South Africa?
I must say we are advanced because informal economy has to be informed by skills development, has to be informed by education. We are on track in South Africa. 52% in the tertiary education, it's women. In the areas of maths and science, engineering, we're seeing more women in South Africa getting into that space. So it's quite clear that we are on track. And when I also have to talk about that in the informal economy, we also have to make sure we reskill, retrain our women to be relevant in the future.
Susan Shabangu, always good to see you. Thank you very much, Minister.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Susan Shabangu is South Africa's Women's Minister. That ministry, of course, located in the Presidency of South Africa, speaking to us here at the Commission on the Status of Women.
That's all we have for now. We'll be back shortly.